Welcome back to another Crowd Control where we talk about board game crowdfunding. This week, we're not going to be talking about any new campaigns, although there are some new campaigns coming this week or next. We've got the follow-up to Calico's coming. Some others. We'll have some content on the channel, but we're going to talk about 6 campaigns that have all either run or are running right now.
I mean, we're playing catch-up. This has been a crazy month of campaigns. We don't have time to talk about all of them, but we're trying to talk about ones that we are really excited about. The first one that I'm really excited about is called Restart, and I'm really excited about this because it's a time travel game, and it's a combo-tastic card game where you're taking cards made out from this grid, scoring a bunch of points. But the really cool thing, there's 2 really cool things. The player board.
Just 2?
Well, there's
Maybe
a bunch.
More.
2 that I want to talk about. The player board is awesome. It's this cool, big, expansive, three-dimensional player board. And the game is modular. So based on which module you're using, you have the player board, and you're snapping the bottom off and snapping a new module board on the bottom. And it's going to change up the game, even to the point where some modules have dice, some don't, and all these different modules. And then the other thing is you're playing 2 versions of yourself. The old version of you that lives in the future that has just been awful. And
Not the future, the past.
Well, no, the older version of you is in the future.
Oh, you mean older as an age?
Yes, older as an age.
I thought you meant older
You
back
have
then.
the old version of you in the decimated future, and then you are reaching out to your childhood self in the past, trying to make decisions and start a chain of events that leads to a better future, which I think is a really interesting premise.
I think both of those pieces are out there at the same time.
They are, yeah.
And if I understand correctly, they can't be in the same place at the same time.
It's pretty cool.
You know what that means in the timeline continuum.
Paradox.
So that's one. And it looks beautiful, by the way. These are the people, Teetotum, that did Age of Rome, and they have an amazing presentation.
Yeah.
The box art alone on this game is makes me want to play it very badly. It's really looks cool. The next one we wanted to talk about, you've probably heard about this one. It's called Twisted Cryptids, and I can't watch a YouTube video without seeing an advertisement for it, which is probably partly why it's done so well.
Well, that's the power of Unstable Unicorns.
Yes, it is from Unstable Unicorns. This is an interesting game where you're all playing cryptids and you're hiding on this map in these different locations. Everyone's going to have some cards in front of them in little stacks that represent those locations. But the meat of the game seems to be people controlling these people that are moving around, investigating the cryptids. And it looks like there's going to be some times where you want them to investigate you based on the cards that you have in your stack, or maybe not. So you're going around and around the table, and people are playing cards that allow them to move them out of a location, or move them, or track them to a location. After all that's done, you resolve that, and everyone who has a cryptid in a location where there is a bunch of the investigators, for lack of a better way of putting it, will resolve a card from their stack again, doing different things. But it looks adorable, and also you can go up to, I want to say it's $200, $199, that includes these, I don't know if they're vinyl, but really amazing looking miniatures.
I was going to say, you can just forget everything David said about the gameplay, and you could look at the cryptid miniatures, and you probably are going to want them.
Those cryptid miniatures at the high end are really cool. They look like that kind of really cool, nicely produced, full color minis.
All right, well, we're going to move on to another one that's launched right now, which was maybe the subject of a little bit of controversy. This is Draconis 8, the TCG from Wise Wizard Games. And this is it's interesting. It is a 8-card TCG, Keyforge style, where you buy a pack, and those 8 cards, there's 1 dragon and 7 support cards that you're playing on this grid. And that's the whole game. You play with just those 8 cards. Really cool idea. You never exactly know what you're going to get when you buy a pack. But the reason it's, I think, gained a little bit of attention and controversy is because of their use of AI art.
Yeah, they've used AI art. They say it right up front that they did. But check out their campaign page because they have an incredibly detailed outline of the process that they used, where they started with art that was sort of sketched, hand-drawn, colored, but was rough, and then used some AI tools along the way to kind of refine that, and really every step of the way also having artists involved. So they explicitly said this is not AI generated, but maybe more like AI assisted.
Yeah, it's an interesting take, and it's an interesting design. I think that might factor into the fact that these cards are generated by an algorithm like Keyforge, where it's no card is identical to another card. So yeah, I don't really know what the process looks like, but it's an interesting concept for sure.
Yeah, if you want to know the process, go to their page.
Yeah.
There's a massive chunk of it there. The next one we want to talk about is Invincible, the card game. There's been a lot of Invincible games.
Oh, it's been a popular show, so I'm not
Invincible's
surprised.
gotten out there in the licensing realm and said, "You want to do a game? You want to do a game?" And a lot of them are good. Some of them are better than others. This one is built off of the Astronauts engine from Indie Boards and Cards, which is a very proven engine. It started way back when with Aeon's End, then to Astronauts, which is more streamlined. And then this, and if you've ever played Astronauts, this is a cooperative deck building game that's really clean, really unique and interesting, and really feels like a video game boss fight oftentimes when you're going after these bosses that operate in different ways. And as you can imagine, that lends itself really well to the Invincible IP.
Yeah,
we didn't know anything about this until it was announced, not very long ago.
No, we didn't get any inside
and we even
scoop
know
here.
people on the inside.
I know they didn't leak
Looking at you, Nick.
They didn't leak it to us at all. All right, so another big one that we had to talk about. Cloud Spire is ending. They are launching their what they're calling the final Cloud Spire expansion. I don't know what that means as far as your ability to get more Cloud Spire in the future, but if you've been on the fence about Cloud Spire, this might be your last chance to get some of the Kickstarter exclusive stuff.
Well, it's certainly your chance to get probably all things Cloud Spire if you wanted them.
Yeah.
And I would say too, I was just about to make the joke that it's their last campaign until it makes $2 billion, then they'll do another. But
they might not. I mean,
Chip Theory, they're doing fine. First of all, they don't need to go crazy and do more campaigns. So they might stick to the guns, I think, and say, this is it.
I think they know that it's time. I think they know when a game has reached the end of its lifespan or they've released it. There's so much content for Cloud Spire.
And for all of their games. They really support their games really well. So
they do.
I'd take them at their word when they say this is what the whole experience should be.
I can't say I don't see a future, years down the line when Cloud Spire 2 comes out, but for now, at least,
That's next week, actually, is being launched.
Right. But for now, this is your chance. I don't know a ton about Cloud Spire, to be honest with you. I played the base game years ago, so I don't really know a lot about how the expansion is changing things. But I thought it was worth mentioning. They're making a really big push for this, being the final one.
For sure. One more we wanted to talk about, and then we have a shout out at the end. But this one is not Morrison Game Company or Game Factory. It is Ministry of Lost Things.
Yeah.
Lint condition, not mint condition. But it's a lot like these. It's from the same company. And just to give you an idea, you open this box, and this looks like a prototype, but it's not.
Yeah.
This is like what looks like a handwritten note. This is sort of like one of those adventures in a box with all sorts of weird components, things that are locked, and it basically tells you, read me first. Like it literally says, read me first. And that's it. There's no rule book. It's just read this, and then you're kind of exploring the contents of this box to try to uncover clues and piece things together. Kind of not like an escape room, but it's going to be along the lines of one of those experiences.
That kind of feeling. And they've done many of these kind of boxes, and they've all been wildly successful. And what they've done that's really cool is they always manage to weave a storyline that you're kind of uncovering pieces. So it's not just about the puzzles, it's also about uncovering the story behind it, and they've always had really strong stories as well. So I expect the new one to be the same way.
Yeah, they're cool little packages. The last thing we wanted to shout out was March of Ants.
Yeah, this just ended, but man, for what launched as like a indie 4X game from a friend of the channel, we love Tim.
A while ago.
Yeah, a while ago. It now came back and did $300,000, and this is considered maybe one of the best 4X games out there, at least from people that have played a lot of 4X games. This is what they're saying, which is really cool, I think, for this game.
You're saying people are saying this is one of the best?
People are calling it one of the best 4X games.
Not Ryan, but people.
I haven't played it.
I've never played it either.
So I can't say that.
I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure Ryan will put up a date when he edits this, but I feel like March of Ants maybe predated Man vs. Meeple.
Oh, it might have. I don't know.
I think it was before 2016, 2017.
It might have been. It's an older game, but it holds up.
But I haven't played it either, and obviously there's plenty of people who are interested in it because it did really well.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't. You're not the biggest 4X guy.
That's putting it mildly. But anyway, those are all the campaigns we wanted to talk about this week. If you have any campaigns that we missed, any that are coming up, honestly, if you're a publisher out there and you watch this and you're like, oh, I wonder if they'll talk about mine, contact us. Let us know. Send us an email and say,
Yeah.
hey, can you give us a shout out? Some of the publishers today did that very thing, and that's why they got
I think people think that we know everything, but sometimes we log on to Kickstarter on a Tuesday and it's like, oh, where did this come from?
Oh, I mean,
there's
every week.
There's too
That's why
many
we
to
did this
keep track
episode
of,
of things that were all we missed the last couple weeks. But anyway, if you have any questions about any of them, please make them in the comments below. We'll get down there and answer whatever we can. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.